Most people spend their lives running from what's hard, but it's precisely the hard things that build the strong ones. The world got used to chasing shortcuts, quick fixes, results without effort, and that's why so many remain stuck in the same place. Those who master self-discipline understand a simple truth. The easy path comes at a high price, and the hard one pays dividend for life. Have you noticed how your brain tries to trick you? It creates perfect excuses, convinces you to wait for the right moment, makes you believe you're not ready yet. But the secret isn't to wait to feel. It's to act even when you don't feel like it. Mental toughness begins the moment you stop asking your mind for permission and start giving it orders. Action is what separates dreamers from achievers. While some plan, others do. And those who do win. Because movement creates clarity, and clarity generates power. Motivation comes after action, never before. That's why the strong seem unstoppable. They don't depend on energy, they generate it. But there's a price, discomfort. Doing what's hard hurts. It hurts physically, emotionally, and mentally. Yet that pain is the ticket to a life of real results. Those with focus understand that discomfort is temporary, but regret is eternal. And the difference between the two lies in one simple decision. Act now or keep postponing. Consistency is the secret of those who change their lives. It's not about strength, it's about repetition. Every day, even without motivation. Every day, even when tired. Every day, even when doubting. Discipline isn't born in moments of glory, but in the quiet days when no one is watching. That's where an unbreakable mind is built. And if you want to change your reality, you must train the only muscle that controls all the others, the mind. It's the battlefield of every failure and every victory. Those who master their minds master life itself. And from today on, you'll learn how to do it, step by step, principle by principle, until the hard things become your new normal. People spend their lives trying to escape difficulty, but the irony is that it's exactly what builds the strongest ones. A true mentor would say comfort is a golden trap. It feels safe, but it cages your growth. Life gets lighter when you learn to carry the weight of hard choices. Self-discipline turns the impossible into routine. And once you understand that, you realize the secret isn't to avoid effort, but to use it as fuel. Those who only seek ease end up trapped in frustration. Everything feels pleasant at first, but the cost comes later. Lack of purpose, boredom, and regret. Those who choose the hard path develop mental toughness, that inner strength unshaken by ups and downs. It's the strength that makes you rise even when no one is watching. That's what separates those who grow from those who merely dream. Think of anyone successful, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists. They all faced moments when quitting made the most sense. But they acted even without wanting to. That's action in its purest form. This attitude comes from doing what must be done, not what you feel like doing. And that difference is what separates mediocrity from mastery. Choosing hard doesn't mean loving pain. It means understanding it teaches. Discomfort sculpts character and reveals commitment. It's easy to make promises, but few maintain focus when distractions appear. Focus isn't about one intense day. It's about consistency, doing it daily, even when the mind craves rest. That's when transformation begins. Self-discipline is like a muscle. If you don't train it, it weakens. Each time you avoid a task, you tell your brain that comfort is in charge. But each time you face discomfort, you reprogram your mind to obey decisions, not emotions. That's real freedom, when what you feel stops controlling what you do. How many times have you woken up tired and said, "Not today"? That's exactly the day your mental training begins. Mental toughness isn't born when life is calm, it's born in chaos. It's easy to stay calm when everything flows. The test is staying firm in the storm. And when you do, self-respect grows along with results. Action is the cure for doubt. When your brain starts inventing excuses, movement silences them. One step in the right direction is worth more than 1,000 thoughts about what could be done. Life rewards those who move, not those who plan endlessly. Through action, confidence grows, that inner voice saying, "I can handle more than I thought." Most people want to change their lives, but not their habits. They want extraordinary results with ordinary effort. But success, like a strong body, demands training, pain, and time. Consistency turns desire into reality. It's doing the same disciplined thing until the hard becomes automatic. That's what separates amateurs from the unstoppable. Discomfort is a mirror. It shows where you're still weak. Each boring or difficult task is a chance to prove yourself. And when you face discomfort with focus, progress arrives silently but inevitably. A disciplined habit today becomes natural talent tomorrow. Self-discipline doesn't give wings. It builds the ground for you to run. That moment when mental fatigue whispers stop, that's when mental toughness steps in. It's the invisible muscle that says, once more. Every time you obey discipline instead of laziness, you strengthen that voice. Over time, it becomes your default mode. What used to be effort becomes reflex. Action doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to exist. Many freeze waiting for the perfect moment, but it never comes. The secret is to act now, adjust along the way, and repeat. Consistency doesn't require speed. It requires presence. It's doing what must be done without applause, because the real reward is growth. When you start choosing hard on purpose, the brain panics. It protests, complains, wants to retreat. But soon it learns discomfort is the new normal. That adaptation builds true power. That's when self-discipline takes control of instinct and turns it into purpose. And that changes everything. Nothing is more liberating than realizing control is in your hands. Not luck, not talent, focus and consistency. It's waking up and choosing to improve even when no one asks. Doing what's right when the world applauds what's easy. Building a solid life brick by brick, knowing each hard choice paves an easier road ahead. A tough life becomes bearable when the mind becomes strong. Mental toughness is the shield that protects you from quitting. And it doesn't come from motivational quotes. It comes from daily practice, from get up when the body says stay, from keep going when no one believes. That's the discipline that quietly builds empires. And the funny thing? Over time, hard stops being hard. What once felt impossible becomes routine, and what once was pain becomes the joy of self-conquest. That's the cycle of evolution, pain, adaptation, mastery. Those who understand it don't fear hard work, because they know the reward always outweighs the effort. Every hard choice you make today is a gift to your future self. Your body grows stronger, your mind tougher, and your confidence blooms. It's a silent investment with guaranteed return. And the more you practice self-discipline, the easier it becomes to keep focus, because focus isn't about looking forward. It's about not looking sideways. The real reward of choosing the hard path isn't the achievement, it's the transformation. You don't just get results, you become someone new. Steadier, calmer, stronger. Action becomes habit. Mental toughness becomes armor. And consistency becomes a lifestyle. The world changes the moment you do. And maybe that's the secret few understand. The easy comes after the hard. Those who get that stop complaining about the weight and start seeing it as a tool. Because the weight you carry today is what makes you strong tomorrow. And when the mind masters the body, the impossible bends before self-discipline. Most people spend their lives asking their brains for permission. Am I ready? Can I handle it? But the brain wasn't made to lead. It was made to protect. And protection rarely leads to progress. True growth begins when you stop negotiating with your thoughts and start giving commands. That's when self-discipline takes the wheel and turns doubt into direction. When someone says, "I don't feel like it," the brain celebrates because it loves comfort. But desire is unstable, discipline is constant. Telling your brain what to do is like training a stubborn dog. It resists at first, but repetition teaches who's in charge. Consistency educates the mind, and each time you overcome an excuse, you teach your brain to respect your command. Mental toughness starts exactly at that point, when your mind tries to run, and you pull it back. It's not about ignoring fear. It's about taking control. You don't need to feel courageous to act. You act to feel courageous. Action comes first, feelings follow. When that logic flips inside you, procrastination loses its grip. Training the brain is like training a muscle. It only learns under repetition and pressure. If you always give in to hesitation, your brain learns that complaints work. But if you act even without wanting to, it starts to adopt a new pattern. Over time, what once felt hard becomes natural. That's pure self-discipline, command over impulse. Imagine a soldier on the battlefield. He doesn't wait to feel brave before he moves. He obeys the mission. The mind works the same way. Either it serves you, or it enslaves you. And those who learn to command their inner world gain power over the outer one. That's the essence of mental toughness. Not brute force, but silent mastery. Action is the language the brain understands best. It may doubt your words, but it obeys your movements. When you move, the brain realizes there's no turning back and begins to cooperate. That's why acting before overthinking is so powerful. Thinking too long paralyzes you. Movement creates clarity, and clarity fuels focus. It's fascinating how the mind constantly tries to protect us from effort. It creates sophisticated excuses, believable justifications, even sudden fatigue. But consistency is the antidote. When you keep showing up despite mental tricks, your brain realizes it no longer has a vote. Repetition builds authority, and authority breeds freedom. Many people think they need inspiration to start, but it's the opposite. Start, and inspiration will appear. Self-discipline doesn't depend on emotion, it depends on command. Saying, "We're doing this now," is more powerful than waiting to feel ready. That simple habit changes everything, from workouts to empires. When the brain realizes you follow through, it stops sabotaging you. It's like taming a beast. At first, it fights, but once it knows who's in charge, it calms down. That's when focus becomes effortless, and productivity stops being a struggle. You no longer wonder if you should act. You just do. A practical exercise. Use the 5-second rule. When you think of something important, count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Don't debate. This trick catches your brain before it invents excuses. It's a mental training that strengthens self-discipline and drives action. Every small victory reinforces confidence in your own command. Over time, giving orders to your mind becomes a ritual. You feel resistance, but you don't obey it. It's a silent dialogue. I lead, you follow. That conversation rewires who you are. Consistency turns the brain into a loyal ally instead of a subtle enemy. Those who wait for the right moment never move. The brain is a master illusionist. It whispers, "Later will be better." But later is where dreams go to die. Mental toughness is built when you realize the only real time is now. And now is the territory of action. Training the brain isn't about silencing it, it's about educating it. It learns through repetition. Each firm decision rewires its pathways. When you maintain focus despite distraction, you're literally reshaping your neural structure. What feels hard today becomes automatic tomorrow. Self-discipline is the new language of high achievers. It speaks through actions, not promises. When your brain learns this language, it stops resisting. Suddenly, what used to feel like a battle becomes harmony. You think less, execute more. And in that simplicity lies true power. But here's the detail most miss. The more you command, the clearer the command becomes. Doubt shrinks, execution accelerates, and self-respect grows. It's an invisible chain connecting mental toughness to consistency. The brain, once rebellious, becomes your most loyal soldier. It just needed leadership. Focus isn't just attention. It's deciding what deserves attention. When you tell your mind to look forward, it stops wandering toward noise. Like a horse wearing blinders, not because it's limited, but because it knows the goal. That's the wisdom of those who control thought before thought controls life. And the more you master your brain, the more it works for you. It reminds you of purpose, prioritizes what strengthens you, silences what weakens you. It's a virtuous cycle born from self-discipline and sustained by consistency. In the end, the brain stops being an obstacle and becomes the bridge to your next level. And that's where real power begins. When the mind obeys, the body follows, and destiny shifts. Doubt fades, hesitation dies, and all that remains is clear, precise action. Maybe that's the turning point. The moment you realize you never needed the perfect time, only the perfect command. Most people wait to feel like acting, and that's why most never move. Motivation is like the weather. It changes constantly, and if you depend on it, you'll stay stuck. Self-discipline is the opposite, doing what needs to be done even when your body and mind beg for rest. Acting before motivation is taking control of your story. Those who master this never again become slaves to, "I'll start tomorrow." How many times have you delayed something waiting for the right moment? That moment is an illusion created by the brain to keep you safe, but too much safety kills progress. Action doesn't need permission, it needs decision. It's what ignites motivation, not the other way around. When you move first, your body reacts and your mind wakes up. That's when momentum begins. The secret is simple but requires courage. Start, even when you don't want to. Do the workout, write the text, turn on the computer and begin. At first it feels forced, but willpower is born from movement. Consistency creates energy, not the other way around. Every time you move despite inertia, you're training self-discipline and reprogramming your identity. Mental toughness shows up right here. When you decide to act without depending on emotion, you strengthen that mental muscle. It's what carries you on gray days, when everything feels heavier than usual. That internal resistance is what separates dreamers from doers, and it grows with every silent act of courage. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline is permanent. If you wait to feel ready, you'll live at the mercy of your moods. But when you act without wanting to, focus appears naturally. The body adapts, the mind quiets, and progress begins. It's like pushing a car. Hard at first, but once it moves, momentum does the rest. Big results come from this simple logic. First the act, then the feeling. The writer writes even uninspired. The athlete trains even exhausted. The entrepreneur works even uncertain. They're not powered by motivation. They're guided by self-discipline. And that's why they reach what others only imagine. Motivation is like a visitor. It shows up, excites you, then leaves. But consistency is a loyal friend. It stays when everything changes. It ensures the work gets done. The routine is kept, the focus maintained. Each day of discipline is silent proof of inner strength, and that strength builds results no burst of motivation can sustain. Acting without waiting for the perfect time is a superpower. The truth is, the perfect time doesn't exist. There will always be tiredness, distractions, uncertainty. But when you start anyway, life rearranges itself around your decision. The universe rewards action and ignores hesitation. Those who move attract opportunities. Those who wait lose them. Self-discipline is the engine that pushes the car even on an empty emotional tank. You don't need to feel to do. You need to do to feel. That inversion of logic transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. And that's why disciplined people seem lucky. They create movement while others are still thinking. On the days when motivation disappears, and it will, remember, mental toughness grows in discomfort. It's what makes you get up, put on your shoes, and keep going even under pressure. The secret is simple. Act first, think later. The mind tends to follow the body, not lead it. Focus is born from action. Once you start, the brain realizes the task is real and adjusts to help you. But as long as you stand still, it keeps inventing excuses. That's why the first step is always the hardest, not because of lack of strength, but because the brain is still learning to obey. Each following step gets easier. Consistency isn't about speed, it's about presence. It's showing up every day, even dull, even tired. That quiet steadiness is what turns ordinary into extraordinary. Success becomes predictable when action is daily. There's no miracle, only method, discipline, and repetition. Training yourself to act before motivation is like installing a new operating system in your mind. At first, it glitches, feels heavy, but soon it runs smoothly. You realize you don't have to feel good to do good. Self-discipline becomes natural, and the body follows orders. That's when freedom begins, when you do what's right, not what's easy. High performers don't wake up inspired every day. They wake up committed. The difference is subtle but life-changing. Motivation depends on mood. Commitment depends on character. And character is built through mental toughness and consistency. It's what sustains focus when excitement fades. Action is the medicine for doubt. It breaks the mental cycle of I think, therefore I delay. When you act, fear shrinks. When you wait, it grows. That's why the faster you move, the easier it becomes. It's self-discipline in motion, creating a mind that executes before it hesitates. It's not about ignoring emotion. It's about not being enslaved by it. You can be tired, insecure, irritated, and still act. That's the beauty of mental toughness. It doesn't erase discomfort, it masters it. And once you realize you can move anyway, you discover a power few ever will, the power of consistency without excuses. Over time, acting without motivation becomes your second nature. You no longer ask, should I? You just do. That's when progress accelerates because your brain understands there's no alternative. It stops resisting and starts cooperating. That's when discipline stops being effort and becomes identity. The brain has a special talent for convincing you to stop. It whispers, wait a little. You deserve a rest. You'll do it later. But that innocent pause is what destroys most achievements. When the mind says, wait, that's the moment to stand up. That's where self-discipline is born, in the instant you do the opposite of what comfort commands. This battle is invisible but decisive. The body wants the couch, the mind wants safety, and purpose wants movement. Only one can win. When you choose action, life reorganizes in your favor. The universe seems to help those who help themselves. Every disciplined step declares, I'm ready for the next level. Mental toughness is built in those seconds of doubt. The time between the thought and the act defines who you become. Most people hesitate too long, and in that gap hesitation wins. But those who rise quickly teach the brain who's in charge. That speed is what turns weakness into strength and inertia into momentum. There's a concept called the 5-second window. It's the brief interval when your brain tries to protect you from discomfort. If you don't act in that time, it takes control. That's why, at the first sign of resistance, stand up. That simple act is mental power training. It reinforces self-discipline and creates a reflex of immediate movement. Think about how much life is wasted on, I'll do it later. Small delays become lifelong regrets. The habit of standing when your mind says wait is the antidote to mediocrity. Every quick reaction strengthens focus and weakens fear. In the end, fear only respects those who act before it speaks. Consistency is born from repeated decisions. It's in standing up 1,000 times, even tired, that strength solidifies. No warrior becomes strong without training, and no disciplined person is born ready. The mind learns through practice. Each quick reaction builds a new neural connection, a direct highway between will and action. High achievers master this reflex. They don't wait for the right time. They create it. The athlete gets up when the alarm rings. The writer writes even blocked. The entrepreneur acts even afraid. That's self-discipline in motion. There's no magic, just consistency applied with courage. The lazy mind loves disguising excuses as logic. It's not the best hour. I'm not inspired. I'll do better later. But the truth is, if you wait for perfect, you'll miss what's essential. Perfect is born from movement, not hesitation. What seems small today opens the door to something extraordinary tomorrow. Focus isn't just concentration, it's mental endurance. It's staying on track when everything inside you wants to pause. That's where mental toughness shows its power. When the mind screams, stop, the disciplined one replies, once more. That tiny internal victory is what separates dreamers from achievers. Standing when you don't want to is a quiet way of saying, I control me. That command changes everything. Self-discipline isn't a skill, it's an identity. The more you act against inertia, the more your mind learns you're reliable. And inner reliability is the fuel for true freedom. Action doesn't need energy, it needs decision. When the body feels tired, the mind may lie. But if you move, the body obeys. That's the secret. Move first, think later. The brain is a faithful servant when trained, but a tyrant when left alone. The training is simple. Stand up every time it tells you to stop. The seconds between feeling and acting are the battlefield. Whoever dominates that time dominates life. If you let the mind decide, it limits you. If you decide before it, it follows. That reversal defines the unstoppable. Consistency is born when acting fast becomes natural. It's a dance between impulse and control. Every time you obey comfort, it grows. Every time you challenge it, it shrinks. It's a constant game. The secret is to never negotiate with laziness. If you wait to feel ready, you'll wait forever. But if you act now, focus comes as a reward, and progress becomes inevitable. The brain is a great assistant but a terrible boss. It wants to keep you safe, not make you grow. That's why self-discipline's role is to take command. When you rise exactly when your body asks for pause, you're showing who leads. And that inner authority reflects in every area of life. Mental toughness is built in the pain of decision. It's easy to go on when you're excited, but character is tested in fatigue. When the clock screams too early, or the task feels too long, that's where strength is forged. The reward comes later, in the quiet of knowing you conquered yourself. Standing when the mind says wait is more than a physical gesture. It's symbolic self-mastery. It's choosing not to be enslaved by impulses. And when repeated, the body learns to act before doubt. That's how the disciplined win, not through brute force, but through mental consistency. With time, this reflex becomes your signature. You no longer think about wanting. You just do. That's when life gets lighter. The weight of choice disappears once habit takes over. Hard becomes automatic, and automatic becomes power. And perhaps that's where the next level of mastery begins to reveal itself. The mind loves to negotiate. It says, maybe later, just one more minute, or today doesn't matter. But every time you reopen a decision, you weaken it. Self-discipline is built on the ability to close the door on doubt. Once the choice is made, it's done. No questions, no second opinions. That firmness is what transforms intention into identity. Mental toughness is the art of not reopening closed doors. When you decide, you commit. And when you commit, you free yourself. The weak waste energy debating with themselves. The strong use it to move forward. A firm decision creates internal silence, the kind where focus thrives and progress accelerates. Action turns a choice into momentum. Thinking too much after deciding is like braking while accelerating. The mind needs clarity to follow. And clarity only exists when the decision is final. When you make decisions non-negotiable, hesitation disappears. The path may not get easier, but it becomes inevitable. Consistency is the product of this mental firmness. Each unbreakable decision reinforces confidence in yourself. That's how discipline becomes automatic. You no longer ask, will I do it? You simply do it. That certainty saves energy and strengthens your identity. Every finished task is a vote for who you want to be. Self-discipline is built on small, decisive acts. You say no to distraction, yes to purpose, and never look back. It's like tightening the screws of your own mind. The tighter they are, the less room for excuses. A firm mind doesn't argue, it executes. And that consistency builds unstoppable momentum. Mental toughness grows in the silence after a firm choice. When you decide and refuse to revisit it, the brain learns to obey. It stops wasting energy debating feelings. It understands that discomfort doesn't cancel the decision. That's how strength is forged, through consistency, not emotion. Action is the cement that seals decisions. Saying, I'll do it, means nothing until your body moves. Each act of execution proves to your brain that your words carry weight. And once your brain believes you, discipline becomes instinct. That's how leaders are formed, through congruence between thought and deed. Focus is clarity in motion. When your decisions are firm, distractions lose appeal. You know where you're going, and that certainty is liberating. The world stops feeling chaotic when your internal compass is fixed. And that compass is called commitment, a word that weak minds use lightly, but strong minds live by. Consistency is repetition with purpose. When you stick to what you decide, your energy compounds. Each small victory fuels the next. That's why disciplined people seem lucky. Their results come from reliability. They trust themselves because they've proven they follow through, even when no one's watching. Self-discipline requires eliminating the maybe. Maybe is the language of hesitation. The disciplined speak in absolutes, yes or no. This mental clarity creates emotional peace. The mind doesn't need constant negotiation when the choice is made once and for all. That's the secret of inner balance. Mental toughness isn't about ignoring feelings. It's about not letting them dictate the mission. You can be afraid and still act. You can be tired and still move. You can be unsure and still continue. The decision has already been made. All that remains is action. And that simplicity gives freedom. When your mind knows that your word is law, it stops testing you. The internal arguments vanish. This is where true power begins, when self-respect replaces self-doubt. You no longer depend on motivation, because your identity now fuels execution. That's what it means to be unstoppable. Focus grows in environments of certainty. If you've decided, there's no room for what if. The stronger the decision, the quieter the noise. The mind becomes like a blade, sharp, clean, precise. And that sharpness cuts through procrastination, leaving only purpose behind. Consistency is not built overnight. It's built choice by choice. Every time you stay firm, you add another layer of trust in yourself. That trust compounds until doubt becomes a stranger. And when you reach that point, even difficult tasks feel lighter, because hesitation is heavier than work. Self-discipline thrives on commitment without loopholes. There's no "I'll see how I feel." There's only "I will." The brain respects firmness. It despises indecision. Each act of discipline teaches your subconscious that your word is law, and a person who honors their own word becomes unstoppable. Mental toughness is silence in chaos. It's the calm assurance of knowing what must be done, no matter the noise. That internal silence is focus at its highest level. From it comes clarity. From clarity comes execution. And from execution comes peace. And when you live like that, with decisions that don't reopen, you stop wasting energy on hesitation. You act faster, go further, and achieve more. That's the quiet power of non-negotiable decisions. And it's exactly this firmness that leads you to the next principle. Understanding that resistance isn't a signal to stop, but a sign that you're growing. Most people see resistance as a warning to stop. But resistance isn't an enemy. It's a sign that you're moving forward. Every time you step outside comfort, the mind resists. It's not punishment, it's adaptation. Self-discipline means understanding that resistance is proof you're expanding your limits, not reaching them. Growth always comes disguised as discomfort. The body trembles, the brain protests, and emotions rebel. But that's how progress works. Mental toughness is built when you stay calm while everything inside screams for relief. It's the art of enduring tension until it becomes strength. Action is the cure for the fear resistance brings. The longer you analyze, the stronger fear grows. But when you move, fear dissolves. Resistance feeds on hesitation. It dies with motion. That's why the most disciplined people don't think too long. They act and adjust on the way. Focus allows you to see resistance differently. Instead of thinking "I'm failing," you think "I'm growing." That shift changes everything. The weight you carry isn't punishment, it's preparation. Each repetition of discipline forges a stronger mind. Resistance is the gym where greatness trains daily. Consistency transforms resistance into rhythm. What once felt unbearable becomes familiar. That's how progress happens, through exposure, not escape. When you keep showing up despite discomfort, the mind learns that pain doesn't mean danger. It means evolution. Self-discipline is the ability to stay steady in storms. The weak stop when the waves rise. The strong learn to surf them. Resistance isn't there to break you. It's there to introduce you to your real self. Every moment of discomfort is a mirror showing what still needs growth. Mental toughness grows in direct proportion to resistance. The heavier the challenge, the stronger you become. Every "I can't" that you push through rewires your belief system. Soon the impossible starts feeling natural. What once was fear becomes fuel. Action is a declaration of dominance over resistance. It's saying, "You don't control me." You can feel fear and still move. You can feel pressure and still perform. That's the discipline that separates amateurs from masters. Masters don't avoid friction. They seek it to stay sharp. Focus during resistance is like light in fog. You might not see far, but you see enough to keep going. And that's all you need. The mind doesn't need perfect vision, just direction. When focus stays fixed, resistance loses its power to confuse. Consistency makes resistance predictable. You stop fearing it because you've met it 100 times before. It becomes routine, a signal that progress is near. Every repetition weakens the emotional noise and strengthens execution. Resistance stops being an enemy and becomes a signpost. Keep going, you're close. Self-discipline means accepting that comfort is the enemy of greatness. Easy paths don't build power, resistance does. Every difficulty hides a lesson, and those who stay long enough to learn it end up winning. That's how the strong see pain, not as punishment, but as guidance. Mental toughness isn't about enjoying resistance, it's about respecting it. It's knowing discomfort is part of the equation, not a detour. Each time you face it, you expand your mental capacity. That's what makes the next challenge feel smaller. Strength compounds just like weakness, through repetition. Action gives resistance meaning. Without movement, pain feels pointless. But when you act, it becomes purpose. The soreness of progress is always better than the comfort of stagnation. That's why the disciplined embrace struggle. They understand it's the only path to mastery. Focus keeps your mind from magnifying pain. When attention stays on the goal, the resistance shrinks. The body obeys the mind's vision. That's why those who focus win. They feel the same discomfort but interpret it differently. Meaning changes everything. Consistency turns resistance into a game. The more you face it, the better you handle it. Soon, it's no longer scary, it's familiar. You even start craving that feeling because you know growth hides behind it. It's the quiet addiction of high performers, chasing discomfort as proof of evolution. Self-discipline is choosing resistance on purpose. It's saying, I'll do what's hard because I know what's behind it. That awareness turns pain into power. The strong don't avoid tension. They build empires on top of it. Every push against resistance is a push toward greatness. And eventually, you stop fearing resistance altogether. You start seeking it, because you realize that where it lives, growth begins. It's not a wall, it's a doorway. And those who keep walking through it are the ones who discover the next level of strength, where focus becomes unshakable and consistency becomes second nature. Losing focus is human, regaining it is power. The mind constantly tries to escape the present, but those who learn to bring it back control the game. The secret isn't never getting distracted. It's returning fast every time it happens. Self-discipline lives in that movement. Correcting your course without drama, only awareness. That repeated return is what separates discipline from perfection. The brain is restless by nature. It wanders between memories and worries, but rarely stays here and now. Mental toughness exists to fix that, to train the mind to remain in reality. Every time you pull your attention back, you strengthen that muscle. It's invisible training with extraordinary results. Most people waste too much time feeling guilty for losing focus. But guilt doesn't build progress, action does. When you notice distraction, just come back. No judgment, no drama. Power lies in recovery, not perfection. Consistency is born from the patience to start again 1,000 times. Bringing back focus is like holding a kite on a windy day. It keeps trying to escape, but you hold the string firm. You need soft strength and persistence. Self-discipline is that string, the thread connecting purpose to the present. And the more you practice, the less the wind can pull you away. A trained mind isn't one that never wanders, but one that returns quickly. Each time you come back to the task, you reinforce the mental pathway of attention. Over time, returning becomes automatic. That's mental toughness in its purest form. Control over what once felt uncontrollable. Awareness is the secret. The moment you notice you're lost, you've already returned. Action is the trigger that rescues attention. Sometimes it's just a deep breath, fixing posture, remembering purpose. Small physical gestures can reignite the right mindset. The body is a powerful anchor for focus. Consistency turns this process into habit. Focus stops being something you chase and becomes something you maintain. Every time you drift and return, you build emotional discipline. Self-discipline becomes less of a word and more of a reflex. You become someone who naturally returns to center. Distraction is inevitable, but dispersion is a choice. There are only a few seconds between noticing and acting. Within that window, focus is decided. If you wait, thoughts take over. If you move fast, the mind obeys. That speed is the result of training, repetition, and purposeful action. The modern world is a factory of distractions, notifications, comparisons, noise. Keeping focus today is rebellion. It's choosing silence in a sea of voices. Mental toughness shows when you resist the urge to be everywhere and choose to be fully here. A good exercise is deliberate focus. Choose something and promise yourself, for 25 minutes, only this exists. When the mind drifts, smile and return. It's simple but powerful training. It builds the invisible muscle of attention. Self-discipline starts with a timer but ends in character. Action is the bridge between distraction and clarity. When you move, focus realigns. The mind loves purpose. Give it a task, and it calms down. Confusion grows in idleness. Movement restores order. That's why motion is medicine. It silences chaos and awakens clarity. Consistency is the foundation of lasting focus. One day of concentration means nothing without the next. True mastery comes from repetition, returning daily to what matters. Even without spark, even without joy. Each comeback strengthens the habit of attention and pushes dispersion away. Training focus is an act of humility. It's accepting the mind isn't a robot, and progress comes from persistence, not perfection. Mental toughness doesn't require immunity to distraction. It demands persistence against it. That quiet persistence is what creates extraordinary results. Self-discipline refines itself when you decide what deserves attention. Everything that doesn't bring you closer to your purpose is noise, and noise drains energy. Focus is mental economy, cutting excess to feed the essential. Saying no is one of the purest forms of power. Action keeps you present. When you feel your mind drifting, do something small. Write, breathe, take a step. Movement reconnects thought with reality. That's how the body helps the mind remember who's in charge. Movement turns confusion into clarity. Focus isn't a state, it's a dance. It comes and goes, and your job is to keep bringing it back. That dance creates consistency, the stable rhythm between falling and rising again. It's the natural flow of someone who understands attention is the fuel of greatness. And the more you practice, the more you realize focus isn't about eliminating distractions, but mastering the return. Power doesn't come from never getting lost. It comes from always finding yourself again. That quiet constancy builds the strength that prepares you for what comes next. Doing the work even when you hate it. Doing what you love is easy. The real power lies in doing what you hate and still doing it well. Life rewards those who do what's necessary, not those who wait to feel inspired. Self-discipline is forged on those days when you can't stand the task but complete it anyway. It's in that silent obedience to duty that champions are made. The mind loves to run from boredom. It craves novelty, excitement, instant pleasure. But greatness lives in the simple, the repetitive, the dull. Mental toughness is forged in the tasks no one wants to do. Each act of discipline amidst discouragement is a brick in the fortress of strength. That's how character is built. Action is the antidote to boredom. When you move, disinterest loses power. Energy comes from execution, not desire. How many times have you started something unmotivated and, halfway through, realized you were engaged? That's it. Focus appears after the first step, and consistency turns that step into a journey. Great achievers know not every day will be epic. There are gray, exhausting, uninspiring days, and yet they show up. That quiet consistency separates amateurs from masters. Self-discipline is the habit of doing what must be done even when emotion says otherwise. That's how progress compounds in silence. Mental toughness is built when the mind complains, but the body obeys. You don't have to like the task. You have to respect it. It's what shapes you. Doing what you hate teaches humility, patience, and persistence. It's invisible training that creates giants. What irritates you most is often what strengthens you most. Focus doesn't come from excitement, it comes from decision. Once you decide to finish something, satisfaction comes later. The human mind is lazy. It wants dopamine before effort. But the disciplined reverse that order. Work first, feel good later. That inversion is the secret to real progress. Action turns resistance into rhythm. If you wait for motivation, you'll wait forever. But if you start, momentum appears. Do it even when you don't want to. That's the formula. Through movement, the brain learns commands come from choice, not emotion. That's the essence of self-discipline. Consistency turns sacrifice into success. It's not about intensity, it's about continuity. You may fail, but you can't stop. The habit of persisting through boredom builds confidence. And confidence is the soil where success grows. Every completed day, even tired, is an invisible victory. Doing what you hate is a test of character. It shows how far your commitment goes. Those who only work when excited never build anything solid. The true warrior executes even angry, even tired, even frustrated. They know emotion passes, but results stay. The feeling fades, the reward remains. Self-discipline isn't glamorous, it's repetition. The same gesture, same routine, same steps. The world only sees the result, but ignores the boring nights and silent mornings. That's where mental toughness is built. Success is the echo of 1,000 unseen actions. Mental toughness grows when you stop seeking pleasure and start seeking progress. Not everything needs to be inspiring. It just needs to be done. Boredom is the training ground of greatness. Every minute invested in what you dislike is a lesson in patience and power. Focus is built by enduring what others avoid. Action is defiance against laziness. When you move, you declare war on comfort. Every battle won strengthens the habit of execution. Doing what you hate is like lifting mental weights. It hurts at first, but the result is strength, emotional, spiritual, and moral strength. Consistency turns effort into mastery. When you repeat what you hate with purpose, boredom dissolves and respect is born. The task that once felt like punishment becomes part of you. That's real transformation, when obligation becomes identity. Focus is the blade that cuts through distraction. Once committed, I don't want to lose his meaning. The secret is to remove emotion from the equation and treat it as a mission. Missions don't depend on mood, they depend on honor. And honor means keeping your word to yourself. Self-discipline sustains consistency when passion fails. Passion is fire, discipline is fuel. When the fire dies, the fuel keeps the flame alive. That's the difference between enthusiasm and determination. The first depends on emotion, the second depends on decision. Mental toughness appears when you do what you hate with excellence. It's easy to perform well when inspired. Hard is performing the same when you're not. That difficulty builds self-respect, and self-respect is the highest reward of discipline. And over time, what you hate becomes normal. Habit turns repulsion into mastery. Boredom becomes routine, and routine becomes power. When you do it even without liking it, the universe learns it can trust you with more. And that's where the next principle begins, shutting down comfort before it even speaks. Comfort is sneaky. It doesn't shout, it whispers. Rest a little. You've done enough. You deserve a break. And before you notice, progress slows down. The secret is to silence comfort before it talks. Self-discipline is the shield that protects the mind from these soft-spoken temptations. Comfort pretends to care, but quietly destroys drive. The biggest trap of comfort is that it seems harmless. It doesn't ruin you instantly. It weakens you slowly. One lazy day, one missed effort, and soon you're back where you started. Consistency protects you from that invisible decay. It keeps your engine running when motivation disappears and fatigue dominates. Mental toughness is the alarm that rings when comfort approaches. It's the inner voice saying, "Not now." It knows rest must come after victory, not before. Comfort should be earned, not granted. Every time you resist laziness, you strengthen your mental muscle and become harder to break. Action is the antidote to comfort. Thinking too much? Move. Feeling sleepy? Move. Movement silences a lazy mind. Energy comes from doing, not waiting. Every small action reminds you who's in charge. And the faster you move, the less time comfort has to convince you otherwise. Focus is the lighthouse that keeps you from drifting. Comfort loves distractions because distraction feels like rest. But when you know what you want, quitting loses appeal. Clarity keeps you firm, and clarity is born from daily discipline. Those who have purpose don't negotiate with ease. Comfort is the thief of great stories. It trades long-term growth for momentary pleasure. In the moment, it feels fair, but later comes regret. Self-discipline reminds you that true pleasure follows effort, not replaces it. Once you understand that, comfort loses its power to seduce you. The secret isn't to eliminate comfort, but to place it correctly. Rest is deserved, not premature. First conquer, then recover. That's how you balance ambition with sanity. Mental toughness ensures you rest with pride, not with guilt. Because rest feels best when it's earned. Consistency is the wall that guards against regression. It prevents just today from becoming every day. Each disciplined day keeps your mind sharp and your standards high. Comfort is lazy, but consistency is relentless. Victory belongs to those who persist, not to those who pause. Action kills indecision. Before comfort speaks, act. Before the brain argues, execute. That's the reflex of disciplined people. They don't wait for resistance to grow. They cut it at the root. It's the power of anticipation, acting before the body sabotages the mind. Focus requires constant vigilance. The mind is skilled at creating logical excuses. It's raining. I worked hard yesterday. No one will notice. Each excuse opens a door for regression. Close them all. And when one cracks open, remember, self-discipline means doing right even with no witnesses. Mental toughness isn't brute strength, it's silent firmness. It's looking comfort in the eye and saying, "Not today." It's pushing forward even when the body begs for pause. That quiet strength changes destinies. Success isn't explosive, it's long resistance, built on small daily denials. Comfort often disguises itself as self-care. You need to rest, it says. But true self-care is keeping promises to yourself. Wisdom is knowing when rest is earned and when it's an excuse. Consistency helps you tell the difference. The wise rest with intention, the weak rest to escape. Self-discipline blocks the trap of instant gratification. It reminds you the price of comfort now is discomfort later. Every no to comfort is a yes to evolution. Each repetition of this choice turns impossibility into habit, habit into strength, and strength into freedom. Action transforms inertia into impulse. Every time you move before comfort whispers, you build a new pattern. The brain learns. Here, we act first. The quicker you react, the weaker resistance becomes. The secret is simple. Never give comfort time to form an argument. Focus is your fortress. It doesn't sustain itself. It's fueled by deliberate choices. Every time you protect your focus, you weaken distraction. Mental toughness grows through this protection, guarding your energy from what drains it. Consistency is the pact you make with progress. It doesn't rely on feelings, only commitment. This contract leaves no room for, "Just today I'll rest." When comfort appears, the disciplined one keeps the promise, not to the world, but to himself. That integrity makes him unstoppable. And when you learn to silence comfort before it speaks, life changes pace. The body obeys, the mind respects, and progress becomes natural. The silence of comfort is the sound of victory. And in that silence begins the next principle, the one that destroys soft thinking before it destroys you. The most dangerous enemy doesn't shout, it whispers. Soft thinking sounds harmless. You've done enough. You can rest. You'll try again tomorrow. But that voice slowly kills discipline. Self-discipline begins to die the moment comfort starts making sense. You must catch those thoughts the instant they appear, before they grow roots. The human mind is a skilled lawyer for laziness. It builds convincing excuses wrapped in logic and emotion. But every thought that distances you from action is a trap. Mental toughness is the filter that separates truth from sabotage. When the brain begins to debate, the strong mind says, "We're not negotiating." Soft thinking is treacherous because it disguises itself as self-care. It says, "You need rest," but it really wants to avoid effort. The more you listen, the weaker you become. Self-discipline is the art of identifying that voice and replacing it with movement. Thought fades when action begins. A powerful exercise, intercept inner dialogue. When you hear, "I'll do it later," respond instantly. Now. That one-word response changes the mind's direction. It's focus training, redirecting thought before it convinces you to stop. Over time, this reflex becomes natural, automatic, powerful. Mental toughness grows when you question your own excuses. Instead of believing them, examine them. Is this real fatigue or just laziness? Am I resting or escaping? That self-investigation separates the disciplined from the distracted. Truth hurts at first but strengthens after. Most of the time, you're capable of far more than you admit. Soft thinking is the main assassin of consistency. It breaks rhythm and kills momentum. One unplanned pause can ruin weeks of effort. That's why strong minds act quickly. They cut poison at the root. Hesitation is slow poison. The antidote is immediate action. Action destroys soft thoughts. You don't argue with them. You move. Every second spent debating is wasted energy. The mind respects movement, not reasoning. Stand up, start, move forward, and the thought dies. The more you act, the easier it becomes to silence that weak inner voice. Self-discipline is a permanent guard at the gates of your mind. It watches every entrance like a soldier protecting a fortress. The moment a soft idea tries to slip in, it's blocked. That vigilance keeps strength alive. And that strength must be renewed daily through awareness. Focus is the blade that cuts through useless thought. Every time a thought doesn't contribute to your mission, discard it. The key question: does this bring me closer or further from my goal? The answer decides the action. Overthinking leads nowhere. Movement leads forward. Mental toughness doesn't erase soft thoughts. It neutralizes them fast. The difference lies in reaction time. The longer you wait, the stronger the excuse gets. Weak minds argue. Strong minds execute. The speed of your decision defines the strength of your discipline. Consistency comes from repeating this process. Every day, the mind will try to negotiate, and every day, you'll shut it down. It's a daily duel between temptation and command. Each victory teaches your brain. We act, not talk. That's how hesitation becomes instinctive movement. Self-discipline is an invisible muscle trained through repetition. Soft thoughts are the weights that strengthen it. They test your willpower and focus. Each time you overcome them, your mental endurance grows. The key is simple. Stop thinking. Start doing, before your brain changes its mind. Action must come before emotion. Feelings are liars. They exaggerate fatigue, inflate fear, and romanticize rest. But once you act, everything changes. The body creates energy, and the mind stabilizes. Movement reprograms emotion. That's the science of discipline in motion. Focus keeps you on track when soft thinking tries to derail you. It's your compass pointing back to purpose. Every time you return to the task, you strengthen the habit of returning. It's a virtuous cycle of awareness, correction, and persistence. That's how clarity becomes character. Mental toughness is built on micro-victories over comfort. They're not huge battles, just seconds of decision. Get up, continue, resist. Each small win proves control. The little moments build an unshakable core, the foundation of self-mastery. Self-discipline is a war of seconds between later and now, between I don't want to and I'll do it. The winner is always the one who acts first. Soft thinking dies with speed, not strength. Quick execution is the sword of the strong. The more you practice this control, the quieter your mind becomes. The brain learns your commands are final. That silence isn't emptiness, it's peace. And in that peace, power grows. It's there, in mental stillness, that the next principle begins. Acting as if quitting doesn't even exist. Quitting is a word that should never exist in the vocabulary of those who seek greatness. The very act of considering it weakens the mind. When you remove the option to stop, self-discipline becomes law. There's no more, let's see if it works. There's only, I'll make it work. And from that point, destiny starts respecting your determination. Mental toughness is born when Plan B disappears. As long as there's an easy exit, the brain will look for it. But when the path is the only one, focus intensifies. The warrior who doesn't think about retreat fights twice as hard. The absence of choice creates strength. It forces you to extract your best. Action is the shield against discouragement. Instead of wondering whether to continue, just continue. Movement silences weak thoughts. There's no time for doubt when the mind is busy executing. That's why the disciplines seem unbreakable. They don't wait for willpower. They live by consistency. Consistency is the cement that holds everything together. Doing a little every day, even tired, builds an unshakable foundation. Quitting doesn't happen overnight. It begins with small pauses. But those who keep the rhythm create unstoppable momentum. Strength comes from continuity, not intensity. Self-discipline becomes invincible when commitment outweighs comfort. Quitters seek shortcuts. The disciplined seek progress. They understand every obstacle is part of the process, not a signal to stop. When you decide to go all the way, the universe begins to clear the path. Mental toughness transforms pain into fuel. The weak retreat at the first sign of difficulty. The strong use resistance as proof of evolution. Discomfort isn't the end. It's the beginning of transformation. And when you grasp that, quitting loses all meaning. Focus is the anchor that keeps you steady in storms. The world will try to distract you with quick pleasures, empty praise, endless comparisons. But those with purpose don't drift. They know every minute spent doubting is a minute stolen from victory. Quitting feels tempting because it's comfortable. It's the temporary relief of stopping before the finish line. But that relief costs regret. The disciplined prefer the discomfort of persistence over the pain of surrender. They know short-term suffering is smaller than lifelong frustration. Action is the antidote to surrender. While the quitter thinks, the disciplined acts. Movement doesn't give weakness time to grow. The body trained by discipline reacts automatically. Each repetition reinforces the no-quit reflex. That's the line dividing dreamers from achievers. Consistency teaches that strength isn't about never getting tired. It's about continuing when tired. Everyone wants to stop, but few turn that desire into fuel. That's what makes the strong rare. They're not motivated by emotion. They're guided by purpose. Purpose doesn't negotiate with quitting. Self-discipline is the silent pact you make with your future self. It doesn't accept excuses, only results. Every day you keep your word, you build proof of your own power. Quitters talk about dreams. The disciplined turn dreams into schedules. Mental toughness grows in the dark moments when no one applauds. Continuing without recognition proves integrity. The strongest validation is your own respect. The very act of not quitting puts you above those who never even started. Resistance is victory before victory. Focus isn't a gift, it's training. It becomes unshakable when you decide quitting isn't an option. That decision changes the mind's architecture. The brain learns. Here, we always continue. Then persistence becomes instinct. That's how discipline turns into identity. Action fuels courage. Courage isn't absence of fear. It's continuing despite fear. Every step forward in uncertainty builds the habit of bravery. That habit creates confidence. Once the mind sees you never retreat, it stops resisting. That's when victory begins. Consistency makes persistence feel natural. When daily effort becomes who you are, quitting stops making sense. You don't need motivation anymore. You simply live the process. The impossible becomes a matter of time. Time always rewards the consistent. Self-discipline is the flame that keeps purpose alive. It doesn't depend on mood, weather, or approval. It simply acts. That reliability creates the unbreakable. Because those who never stop inevitably arrive. The secret is simple. Finish because there's no other option. And when quitting disappears from your vocabulary, everything changes. The mind aligns, the body obeys, and life bends to your will. The journey stops being how long can I go, and becomes how far can I evolve. That's the mastery point, where finishing becomes inevitable. Starting is easy, finishing is rare. The world is full of projects that began with excitement and ended with excuses. True self-discipline is proven not at the start, but at the finish line. The ability to complete what you began defines strength. Because anyone can begin, only the disciplined complete. Mental toughness appears in the middle, that gray zone between motivation and accomplishment. It's when the initial enthusiasm fades and the task feels endless. That's where most give up. But the consistent know. Momentum comes after persistence, not before. The finish belongs to those who refuse to stop. Action must continue even when excitement dies. The first steps are fueled by emotion, the last by decision. That's the shift from feeling to character. Discipline doesn't ask, "Do I want to?" It asks, "Did I promise?" Every completed task becomes proof that your word means something. Consistency is the bridge from beginning to end. Each day of effort connects you to completion. Even when it feels like you're crawling, forward is forward. Finishing builds identity. It tells your mind you're reliable. and reliability creates confidence that can't be borrowed or faked. Self-discipline thrives in closure. The satisfaction of finishing, even a small task, fuels progress. Every unfinished goal drains energy. Loose ends clutter the mind. That's why disciplined people finish, not for applause, but for peace. Completion cleanses the spirit and resets focus. Mental toughness means staying when the fun is gone. The disciplined don't chase motivation, they chase mastery. Mastery demands boredom, fatigue, and repetition. Finishing becomes a meditation, a promise kept in silence. The mind resists, but the soul grows stronger. Action is proof of commitment. Many speak of plans, few cross the finish line. The world remembers finishers. Each completed action sharpens focus, increases resilience, and builds a mindset that says, "Whatever I start, I end." That's how discipline becomes legacy. Consistency doesn't require speed. It requires presence. Slow progress is still progress. The quitter complains about time. The finisher uses it. Day by day, line by line, step by step, the masterpiece emerges. Success is built in small, consistent completions. Self-discipline is a contract with completion. You don't abandon what you begin. You honor it. Even when the result feels distant, you persist. Finishing is self-respect in motion, the act of proving to yourself that your standards matter. Focus keeps you from abandoning ship halfway. Distractions appear strongest near the end. That's when fatigue tricks you into thinking you've done enough. But the truth is, the last stretch defines everything. The end is where character speaks loudest. Mental toughness grows in those final moments when you want to give up, but don't. That final push, even small, rewires your brain for perseverance. Each finish adds another layer of strength. Eventually, you stop fearing hard work. You crave it. Action in the final stages requires heart, not hype. No one claps at the end of a lonely race, but the finisher still runs. That's integrity, doing the work even when unnoticed. It's what separates results from intentions. Consistency is quiet loyalty to your goal. It's showing up until the last second. Finishing one thing completely brings more growth than starting 10 things halfway. Completion compounds confidence, the proof that you can trust yourself to follow through. Self-discipline matures when quitting isn't even an option. You start knowing it's already done. The question isn't can I finish, but how well will I finish? That mindset builds unstoppable momentum, because success is not found in beginnings, it's earned in endings. Mental toughness is finishing even when it's no longer exciting. The disciplined don't need constant rewards. Finishing is the reward. Each closure creates clarity and frees energy for the next challenge. That cycle of completion is the rhythm of the strong. Action transforms uncertainty into closure. When in doubt, finish. The discipline of completion sharpens identity and removes mental noise. The more you finish, the more capable you feel. The mind learns, I always end what I start. That belief is priceless. And when you start living like that, finishing, no matter what, life bends in your favor. Projects end, goals align, and chaos disappears. The satisfaction of finishing becomes addictive. And that's how discipline evolves into mastery. And mastery becomes your nature. You've just walked through principles that few truly live by. Self-discipline, mental toughness, focus, consistency. They're not just words. They're the architecture of a powerful life. Every chapter of this audiobook was a reminder that comfort is the cage, and action is the key. You don't need more motivation. You need a decision. A decision to stop running from the hard things that were designed to make you grow. Every day, your mind gives you two voices. One whispers excuses, the other commands action. The weak follow the whisper, the strong obey the command. Every time you choose to move instead of hesitate, you're rewiring your brain for greatness. That's how legends are built, in silence, repetition, and refusal to stop. You've seen what happens when you wait for motivation, nothing. Motivation fades. Emotion lies. But discipline is permanent. It shows up when you don't want to, speaks when you'd rather stay silent, and acts when fear tries to paralyze you. That's why self-discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. Freedom from laziness, fear, and weakness. Remember this truth. Comfort destroys more dreams than failure ever will. Comfort says, "You've done enough," right before you reach your breakthrough. But every time you reject that voice, you grow stronger. Every time you finish what you start, you redefine who you are. The version of you that refuses to quit is already waiting. All you have to do is meet him. Now ask yourself honestly, how much longer will you wait? Waiting is just a slow form of quitting. The perfect time doesn't exist, only the decision does. The day you stop negotiating with laziness, your entire life changes. The first step is never easy, but the pain of starting is always lighter than the pain of staying the same. Mental toughness isn't built on comfort, it's built on confrontation. Confronting your fears, your habits, your excuses. It's looking in the mirror and saying, "I'm not there yet, but I will be." That's the mindset that transforms ordinary people into unstoppable forces. You can't control everything, but you can always control effort. Action doesn't ask for permission, it just moves. Every time you act, you silence hesitation. Every time you persist, you prove that strength isn't born, it's built. Self-discipline is the act of showing up even when your emotions disappear. That's how you create momentum, and momentum is what carries you through when motivation dies. Focus is your compass. Without it, you'll chase every distraction that promises quick pleasure. But when you stay fixed on the mission, the noise fades. The world belongs to those who keep their attention locked when everyone else loses it. Every second of focus compounds into greatness. Consistency is the proof of seriousness. Everyone can start strong. Few can stay consistent when no one's clapping. But the ones who do, they become unstoppable. Each small repetition adds another layer to your foundation. Brick by brick, day by day, until discipline becomes identity and effort becomes instinct. Finishing what you start is no longer optional, it's your signature. It's proof that you're no longer driven by moods, but by mastery. Even on the days you hate it, even when no one believes in you, you show up. Because self-discipline isn't about feeling good, it's about becoming good. So now, the question is simple. What will you do next? Will this just be another moment of motivation? Or will it be the beginning of transformation? Will you stay in theory? Or will you live in action? The difference is one step, the one you take right after this audio ends. You've been given the tools. You've learned how to train your mind to do hard things, how to silence comfort, how to reject weakness, how to finish strong. The next chapter of your life won't be written by what you know, but by what you do. And if this message hits something inside you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay with us. Here, every video will sharpen your focus, harden your mindset, and push you to become your best self, day after day, relentlessly. Because this journey doesn't end when the audio stops, it begins here. The world doesn't need more motivated people, it needs more disciplined ones. Be one of them. Train your mind, conquer your habits, and remember, discipline will hurt now, but regret will hurt forever.